Good evening. By the grace of God, Bulletinman joins you one more time, understanding that I am public enemy number one. I'll tell you all about that later on. About 2 or 3 months ago, I heard of a poster at the Festus police station, and then I subsequently saw it at the Festus police station. Now it's at another courthouse. So I'll tell you all about that later on, but that is really good news on my half, because what I do, folks, I don't do to threaten the public by any means. I do it to warn the wicked to turn from their wicked ways. What we have here in America today, folks, is what they call a de facto government. De facto means it's just in place. It is not there lawfully. You see, the whole point and purpose of our government is to protect and maintain our God-given individual rights. The right to life, the right to liberty, the free enjoyment of what you make, the fruit of your labor, and there's a whole bunch of other rights that are granted to us by God. Now, the whole point and purpose of our government is to protect those rights which are granted by God, not to take them. What has happened is our government has now begun to take our rights, and has been taking our rights for a long time. But in this matter of Jill Griffin, and Jill sits in the Hillsborough Hilton this evening, costing you, the tax-paying citizens of Jefferson County, $50 per day, along with 199 other people costing you $50 per day. And most of the reasons why those other 199 people are sitting in that jail is because they owe money. Now, there are actually 257 people in the jail, but about 57 of them actually belong in the jail. This according to their own jailer, Tommy Wright. Tommy flat out told me that most of the people in his jail don't belong there. So even if the own jailer is saying, and he's saying that they can't take in more because they don't have the money to feed or whatever to take care of all those. So why is Jill in jail? Well, the reason why Jill is in jail is because Jill came to me, and I got to looking into a few things, and I found out that just about every lawyer in America is lying to you. The court system's a fraud, and our government is totally illegitimate. And it's so illegitimate, it considers me someone who would warn you, the public, that our liberty is at risk, or our republic is falling apart, that I am now considered a threat to the public. Now, you know what? I am not a threat to anyone. I am just merely here to tell you what God told me, and through His Bible. It's right here in the book. You can check it out too. It's not something I'm making up. It's called the King James Version of the Bible. You want to get it right. But in that Bible it says for me to warn the wicked, and when you see the sword coming, and if I'm able to warn the wicked, then the blood ain't on my hands. So what we have here in Jefferson County government is a rogue de facto government. The man who ran for sheriff in 2008 against Mr. Boyer, Nelson Tenney, calls it the communist mafia, and that's exactly what it is. And it is going to stop. It is going to end. You are oppressing my people. You have a lot of my people in jail this evening who don't belong there on so-called victimless crimes. You cannot have a crime unless you have a victim. Now, you know what? The reason why Brian Westfall walks the streets as a free man this evening, and the Amanda Jones disappearance, is because Amanda's body has never been found, and most likely never will be found. That's called corpus delicti, the body of the crime. Now, the $100,000 that Mr. Jones gave Kevin Roberts, who happened to be Forrest Wegge's treasurer, probably has nothing to do with that, or whatever else they've spent on buying his way out of harm's way. But Amanda's parents, Hubert and Bertha, sit in agony, wondering what the hell happened to their daughter and granddaughter. Well, we know who did it. There's no doubt about it. I've called him a murderer 100 times, and I've never heard from him or Mr. Roberts. Why is that? Because he's guilty. And he walks the streets a free man this evening because your sheriff was paid off and because your prosecutor was paid off. And that's the people you're working for at that courthouse. I also heard this evening that the casino guy, the bridge jumper or whatever he was, the bridge jumper had a shot in the back of his head and had handcuff marks on his hands. So, folks, it looks like the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department shot that man in cold blood and dumped his body in the river. And what happened to the $4,000 he had on him, huh, Glenn? You are a dirty lowlife. Your day's coming, buddy. It really is. So, I'm kind of running out of time, but what I want to make sure you understand here is the friend of the court brief I have filed. In the 14th Circuit Court, Judge Nathan Stewart is the judge, and this court simply has no standing. Keep in mind, folks, the whole point and purpose of our government is to secure our God-given rights. It is not to protect criminals and make victims. So I'm going to read it to you real quick. Comes now Jeff Winehouse and others as a citizen of the state of Missouri with a legal interest in justice to the citizens of Jefferson County. As the court's friend, I would simply like to remind the court the whole point and purpose of this government, the court and the government which it represents, is to give security to individual rights. Among these is the right to liberty. The United States Constitution, Article 3, Doctrine of Standing, requires that a plaintiff must allege personal injury fairly traceable to defendant's alleged unlawful conduct and likely to be redressed by the requested relief. The requirement for standing, however, has a core component derived directly from the Constitution. The plaintiff must again allege personal injury fairly traceable to the defendant's alleged unlawful conduct and likely to be redressed by requested relief. That is Allen versus Wright, 468 West, 737 through 751, 1984. The people, that's me, that's you, would like to call to the court's attention the term corpus delicti, Latin for the body of the crime. All corpus delicti requires at the minimum the occurrence of a specific injury, and some criminal agency is the source of the injury. All corpus delicti requires at the minimum, once again, for example, a homicide, an individual has died, or by a criminal act, larceny, property is missing because it was stolen, or if an arson, the house was burnt down. In the State versus Griffin, a crime was alleged to occur, though in order for there to be a crime, there has to be a specific injury in a party that caused injury. The only injury, loss, or harm in this matter occurred to Griffin by this malicious prosecution by Forrest Reggie and Tricia C. Stavansky. Perhaps the court could define who is the injured party in this matter. Huh, Judge Nathan Stewart? Are you smart enough to define who is the injured party in this matter? No, you're the bought off. Pray for Bulletinman, really. You guys need to pray for me because anyway, the people, the only crime committed in this matter, Judge Stewart, was the manufactured charges by Aaron Harvey, who I, by the way, called again this evening, and he won't call me back, so I guess I'm going to have to go by his house, huh? Yeah, we know where you live too, Mr. Harvey. It ain't no big secret, Griffin has been injured. She's been now locked up in jail for 8 days on trumped-up charges. Her bruise on her leg, the door was kicked in, a home invaded by people wearing masks. Yes, they wear masks. These good task force people. And Griffin has also suffered a loss by having to obtain now, I think she's on her 4th lawyer now. We finally got her a decent one, and we're having trouble getting him all straightened out there because of this other lawyer and her ignorant boyfriend, Tommy, And Tommy, shame on you for putting your girlfriend through all this. You got a problem, buddy. You really do. Griffin has had irreparable harm done to her and her family. It would appear to people that the body of the crime is in the task force trunk, indeed. The body of the crime is in the task force trunk. They're criminals, they're rogue, they're terrorists, and they've got to go. You boys need to stand down. You got till May 1st to answer my charges. And after that, the posse forms and we come for you. You understand that, boys? Leave, get out of town while the getting's good because your days are up. As always, I ask you to tell a friend about the one and only Bulletinman if you would. Pray for me, I need it. And pray for the folks in Jefferson County. They need it as well. See ya.